It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate, oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And today is the big game.
No,
Mike,
it's the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl. The NFL has no legal grounds to keep you from saying it. It's not Voldemort, so I will be saying it on this podcast.
what a superb owl we're getting ready for today. I think we normally do two games. We don't know what the status of this game will be if we do record another one. So we'll let you guys know, but I'm ready for surprising commercials. I know some companies have come back for the first time in over 10, 15 years. So yeah, getting ready for that this afternoon around, is that 6:30 kickoff, I think? Something like that.
Yeah, 6:30, 3:30 West Coast, Coast time for watching sports, even though I don't really watch sports, so.
Mm-hmm. Sports ball. Netflix is losing their Marvel properties, Mike. Womp womp.
I think didn't expect that. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, that was a shock, really. The DCEU teases its heroes this week, not through the Super Bowl, but through its own trailer. It dropped on Friday, and we'll talk about that and more.
Yes, as Chris said, historically we like to bookend this Super Bowl Sunday with 2 episodes of the podcast, but in the past, I feel like the commercials and the trailers have not been exclusive to the big game. I mean, we're talking about, what, two trailers today already? That aired way before earlier in the week, technically in a previous week, because today is the start of a new week. And I'm just really curious, like, what's going to happen at the Super Bowl? Are we just going to get a 30-second teaser of a trailer that came out 5 days ago and telling us to go watch the trailer that was published 5 days ago?
You know what you're going to get? You're going to get a 15-second saying, hey, go to the metaverse and watch our trailer at the Miller Lite Tavern.
Chris, knock it off.
I'm serious. That's what Miller Lite's doing. They're like, you can only watch the trailer in the metaverse. And I'm like, this is the absolutely ignorant. Like, just put it on YouTube. Or we're going to wait till it's on YouTube. Someone's going to put it there. So don't do this.
It's just insanity. It's weird to say it's kind of cheapened the day because as a listener, Chris and I do not really care so much about professional sports. We're just here for the media frenzy, and it feels like the media frenzy has been toned down a bit. But the Super Bowl halftime show is billed to be something pretty crazy. I always love hopping on Twitter and just like keeping up with the conversation during the game. So we'll see how it goes. If anything, this is all in your favor because now we get to talk about some of these trailers earlier, and then maybe it saves Chris and I the headache of having to record a podcast for him much later. I mean, sometimes it's like 10, 11 o'clock at night, depending on how the game goes, when Chris and I get to hop back on the horn to talk about what our favorite commercials are. But if we're not too thrilled with the game today, just stay tuned, stay subscribed. We'll talk about some stuff next week on the podcast for sure.
We're always making our next episode list literally the second this one ends. So if we don't get to it this evening, it'll be covered next week. And honestly, sometimes some of the news about those trailers comes out over the week anyway, so it might be better suited for next week. But
But Chris, real quick before you dive into what you've been up to this week, what additional bonus tidbits that you have for us, I don't want you to run through all of the snacks that you're eating for the Super Bowl, but what's the single one you're most looking forward to either trying or eating today?
Oh, that's a great question. So what I have served up here is a nice shrimp cocktail that I've been doing.
Classic.
The cocktail is the St. Elmo's cocktail sauce from the St. Elmo's restaurant in Indianapolis, which is like, I would say over 50% horseradish. Like, yeah,
it's like they grate horseradish until they have this mound of it like snow, and then they just like are like almost like slowly adding, like, I feel like from like an eyedropper of like what is it, like tomato sauce until it's like just viscous enough to dip in. It is intense.
Yeah,
I went to a family gathering once where I'd never had it before, and somebody was just like, "Oh, try some of that cocktail sauce," and then just me being an idiot, I dunk like the whole shrimp in there, and I'm just like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah, it burns your nose. It cleans your sinuses out. That's not much horseradish is there. I just love it. I only pull it out for special occasions. This isn't something I do, so that's on my list. And then we have my go-to is my Velveeta Rotel Hormel chili dip. Just a
Chris,
little pot of it with. But last year, remember we talked about this. My wife makes the pigs in a blanket. Dip those in. Yell winner.
Chris, what a great pivot, because the number one thing I'm looking forward to today is we've asked about our fans in the past to send in some of their favorite Super Bowl sides, and superfan Jim in a previous year had sent me his family's like Velveeta chili dip thing. So when we were heading to the store yesterday to load up our accoutrement, if you will, I reached out to Jim and I asked him, "Hey, what was that stuff in that dip?" So he sent me the recipe again. I had to make a couple little tweaks based on the quantity that I was making, which was smaller. But and they didn't have the exact same cheese soup. I didn't even know they made Campbell's made cheese soup, but apparently that incorporates with the Velveeta. So this is going to be a crazy dip. It's a little different than what Jim sent over, but I think it'll be in the same spirit. So I'm looking forward to giving that a shot. We got the Frito scoops. We got the Tostito scoops. We got wheat thins. We got Ruffles. We're ready to dip today. And I'm not ready for this first little tidbit that you have here in our show notes. Lay it on me, Chris.
Yeah. So the ever infamous MoviePass. If you remember, you subscribed to their service. It gave you up to, was it one movie a day? In any theater you wanted to, I believe. They might have done unlimited at some point. I remember it was at least a movie a day, and in any theater of your choice. And this was like the an industry disruptor, if you will. They were like, this is the way it's going to go in the future.
I mean, they from their crazy business, they created what is it, AMC A-List. I just subscribed actually to the Cinemark one because I was kind of doing some math the other day because it was January, beginning of the year. I have a list already of all the movies I know for sure I'm going to be seeing in theaters this year since it's finally safe to go back. And I opened up a freaking Google sheet and I started doing the math of just like, oh yeah, I'll save money if I get this this Cinemark MoviePass thing. So I'm part of a club now.
Well, you'll have to let me know how Cinemark is. I'm an A-list Premier member, or an AMC Premier member, not A-list member. But my closest movie theater is a Cinemark. I just didn't think their deal was good for me because I don't like their experience in my neck of the woods. But that's fine. So MoviePass, they immediately after this gathered a lot of attention and news, it pretty much went bankrupt and closed down, right? Like the movie theaters were no longer playing ball. The costs were getting out of control, so on and so forth. Well, the original co-founder and CEO was able to rebuy MoviePass at like some sort of federal auction, I think, because of its assets. And they've announced that MoviePass 2.0 is coming. And from my understanding is you buy into it and it's a credits-based system. So you get credits and you can earn more credits by watching ads. Now here's the part that I dislike about this the most. They use your camera on your phone or your computer to make sure you're watching the ads. They're using essentially FaceTime to say, are you watching this ad or are you just dicking around while it plays in the background? Like people do on their free-to-play games, right, on their phones.
Oh my God, that is so weird.
Yeah, so they've gone above and beyond. They say, this is going to be the future, MoviePass 2.0. Get your credits, earn more credits by watching ads, but we're going to watch our ads. So this is how they're making money, is by selling ads now, but like, I think they've overstepped their boundaries a little bit on this. I can only imagine everybody responded with the scene from that very early on Black Mirror episode, right, where they're in like this dystopian kind of like screen hellscape, and when they have to watch an ad, like it literally makes them watch the ad. They have to open up their eyes and watch it. But then also like MoviePass almost just seems like the craziest kid that you ever had in your like elementary school class, right? They're just like balls to the wall. You don't know what they're gonna do, but like you kind of just stick around to see what happens. Like MoviePass has kind of that weird credibility to them, right? Yeah. They're just like, they'll do anything. They don't care if it hurts themselves. They'll climb any tree, just to watch them fall down. I mean, we've all seen them burn, right? But now that they're back, you're just like, okay, I guess you're a glutton for punishment. Yeah, I mean, who knows if this will be something that comes back. How many movies are coming out right now? Are people clamoring to go to the theaters at this moment? I think it's an interesting time to launch it, but some people love this. We have friend of the show, Quentin. He's a big MoviePass fan of the original version. I think he milked that like it was nobody's business when it first came out. So I think it's a great idea if you like going to the movies and you have access and ability, but the ad thing with the hey, we're gonna watch our ads is a little much even for me, and I'm someone who works in marketing as a full-time job. I'm like, this is just no good. So we'll keep you guys posted as this of course has news, but I'm gonna move our way into the yin and yang of the movie season, and that is the Academy Awards and the Raspberry Awards, Mike. So the Academy Award nominations were able to come out, and the only thing I was able to pull, Dune got a lot of nominations, that's fine, but for comic book movies, and some consider this a snub, if you will. Spider-Man No Way Home only got one nomination for visual effects, and Shang-Chi also got that same nomination for visual effects, so they're going up against each other.
I mean, like, come on, people. I mean, this is exactly the type of nomination that you can expect for these films. These movies already got their award, and it was called the box office, right? These Academy Award nominated movies basically almost make squat diddly compared to, like, Spider-Man, right? So it's like, don't be sad. Like, this was, like, a corporately made movie, right, that turned out very, very well. Like, I'm not disappointed it was like a movie made by committee. It turned out great, and like the director's great too, but nobody's talking about the choices the director made in this film, right? These are more like choices like Feige or the producers made of what can we pull off in this film, right? Like this isn't the type of movie that's rewarded at the Academy Awards. Like, remember, this is an Academy of Motion Pictures, right? These are the type of people that nominate the films. So
well, on the flip side of that, that doesn't mean it's a bad movie. Like,
exactly.
The people's choice, the fans, the people who go to see it, the box office obviously speaks numbers, and speaks how good it is. Now it's just the criteria and how they hold themselves up to, like you said, the Academy Awards. You're going to see a lot more. I wouldn't say artsy films. I think, to me, Dune doesn't belong in these categories. It might be under visual effects, but I don't think Dune changed my world in terms of movies either. Like, there are things that we perceive as right and things that we perceive as wrong as they get nominated. But who knows who will win this year? For sure.
I love the argument that people make of saying, "Oh, the Academy needs to nominate more popular movies if they want people to actually watch the Academy Awards." And I'm just thinking, I don't think the Academy cares too much about the ratings of the Academy Awards, right? I think hopefully they care more about the integrity of the award and who wins them. But I don't know. I've never been one to really sit down and watch the Academy Awards anyway, so
the list at the end of the night's way quicker to read than all the speeches.
Yeah.
Also, when the apps make you watch the commercials at the Academy Awards, that's where,
Yeah.
Usually
I'm just pulling up like a Twitter thread of somebody who's just compiling all the winners while I'm watching something else that I'd prefer to watch that night. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, you can multitask pretty quickly on some of that stuff. So there's that. But on the flip side, there are the Razzies, if you will, the worst movie nominations. And while these are not in the Academy, these are for fun. They've been doing this for years. What I definitely agree with in the top, a lot of these for bad I've not seen or even heard of, but Space Jam: A New Legacy is in there for worst movie of the year.
Dookie.
And Jesus, I forgot about that really until I saw that on the list. So definitely do that. And then this year there is literally a Bruce Willis category. He was in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 movies in 2021. So there's now a category called the worst performance by Bruce Willis in a 2021 movie.
Yeah. I'll use this as an opportunity to recommend one of my favorite YouTube channels, Red Letter Media. They just this week released a whole video about them breaking down Bruce Willis's like latest career. Right, he has like in the last 2 years released I think 11 movies or something like that. So they sat down and watched them all and like reviewed them all. And they're all obviously awful, but there's also a Vulture article that was written somewhat recently about they're calling these movies geezer teasers, which I think is hilarious name because they're just pulling an old kind of actor who used to be popular, slapping them in a movie for like maybe 2 scenes, right? And then putting their face on the poster and then getting old boomers to rent them at Red Boxes. So it's the article's great. The YouTube video at Red Letter Media is great, and it's hilarious. I'd recommend go checking it out, just so you can kind of see some of the clips from these movies. There is hilarious filmmaking going on where they're shooting body doubles from the neck down because they can't get Bruce Willis enough on the set to do anything. Yeah. Really awful ADR, green screening. It's just all the worst stuff.
One of the movies I heard, or maybe it was a commercial, they just CGI'd him and he came and just did the voice work. And I think it was like, maybe like a foreign film, like almost CGI'd him the whole way through.
That I very much could believe that, but they also did highlight he did a Russian vodka commercial, and he wasn't even in it. He just licensed his face for a deep fake. Yeah, so it's just you just theorize, right? Like, oh, is he in money trouble? Does he just not give a shit anymore, and he just wants to cash out his name and just, I don't know, go buy an island somewhere? Who knows what's going on with Bruce Willis? But what a crazy category to add to the Razzies.
Just a whole category for somebody. So. So those are out, and that's out and about. So that's kind of what I've kind of been, following this week. I've been a little busy. Mike knows this. We talked about this kind of in depth, kind of geeked out a bit. I got my pinball machine in this week, and I've been setting up to play not just the tables it comes with, but like all like 60 something pinball FX3 tables I have, including a dozen or so Marvel, more Star Wars, so on and so forth. And so that's been my week, Mike. But you've been able to watch a little bit more, it looks like, here.
Yes, I have a couple of recommendations for the listeners out there. A Peacock miniseries by the name of Wolf Like Me, starring Josh Gad and Ela Fisher. Interesting experience with this one because when I first started seeing ads/trailers for it, they kept it very cryptic. They didn't really tell you anything about the show except for these 2 famous people were in it, and there's some sort of like dramatic, maybe like romance, maybe kind of thriller aspect to it. And then it didn't really make me want to watch the show, unfortunately, because I was like, what is this show even about? And then more recently, they've cut a trailer that shows a lot more what happens in the miniseries and kind of almost ruins the premise/twist that they reveal early on. But it's like a double-edged sword because that kind of reveal is what got me to watch the show. So I don't want to spoil it for anybody out there. The premise is very interesting. It's only 6 episodes. It's billed as a miniseries, but of course, if it ever gets enough eyeballs, I'm sure they'll try to turn it into something with multiple seasons. But watch at least the first episode. I think you'll be very intrigued with how it ends. And who knows, if I end up talking about this later on the show, weeks down the road, I'll just go ahead and reveal like the premise /twist. But I thought it was really interesting. It's like this, it ends up being like a sweet, like romantic story with kind of like this fun addition to it. So Wolf Like Me over on Peacock. If you want to see Olaf and Borat's wife, right? That's another way to say their names. This
is way too late to say it, but also Peacock is where you can watch the Super Bowl this year, as Mike also pointed out.
Yep, that's where I'll be watching it.
And while you've been talking about, I've been looking at it's with their premium plan, which is the one you have, correct, Mike? Mm-hmm. It's not the free plan. So
what's the they have like 3 different tiers. There's like the free,
premium, and premium plus.
Yeah, I don't have premium plus. I just have premium.
Yeah. But there's a 7-day trial. I didn't know that. I'm going to be signing up for it. Probably while you talk about your next topic.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to be signing up for it to watch the Super Bowl. But next up is a show called Ghosts. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you're probably just curious, what is this show about? And if you do know if you do know what I'm talking about, the very next question you'll say is, which one, Mike? And that's because there is an original comedy show called Ghosts, which aired on the BBC. I believe somewhat recently. We've been watching the first season of it, and it looks very modern. It's probably within the last few years. There's 3 seasons on streaming on HBO Max from the BBC, and like most BBC shows, very short seasons. First season, 6 episodes. Season 2 and season 3 are 7 episodes. So we'll be done binging this show in no time. But what I didn't know is there's an American remake of Ghosts on CBS/Paramount that is actually going over really, really well. I've heard a lot of really good things, but we don't have Paramount Plus in this household, so I was like, oh, we'll watch the original one, and then when I get around to getting Paramount, for the Halo show, we'll go ahead and we'll watch the CBS version of Ghosts. So I thought this might just be a good time to send the flag up the flagpole that we could possibly have another American Office on our hands, right? Sometimes you can really, really capitalize on a British remake. So Ghosts, go check it out, the original on HBO Max or the CBS version, I guess, on Paramount Plus. And then Chris reminded me of this. There's this new show on Netflix called Murderville, which is a scripted comedic show about a character played by Will Arnett, a detective trying to solve a crime each episode. But the twist is he has a new partner every episode, which is a famous person that goes by their name, and they do not have a script. And then by the end of the episode, they have to guess who the killer is. It's really funny. I know that you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, Chris, but the very first guest partner is Conan O'Brien, which he's like an improv, god, and he does such a good job at some parts where you would just assume that he has a script, right? Because he's doing it so well. And then this almost gives you a little bit of an insight into, how you've heard, how Judd Apatow shoots movies and TV shows where, a lot of the time it's just improv, or I believe Larry David does this as well, where you kind of just go in with a rough outline and you let the actors just go at it. This kind of gives you an insight of kind of how that would work, right? If you're funny and you're talented enough, you can just kind of wing it, and everybody just has fun with each other. So it's really funny, and it almost turns into a little bit of game at the end. I think my favorite episode so far is the Kumail Nanjiani one, which will tie it back to the Superhero Slate show because he was in the Eternals. I don't remember his name. Do you remember his name in Eternals, Chris?
Kingo.
Kingo? Was it Kingo? I was actually thinking Kingo. I should have said that. I would have got it right. Damn it.
How dare you?
So Murderville on Netflix, pretty funny. I think there's 6 or 8 episodes, so that's a quick one as well. And then Chris, a short little story time here. We went to go see Moonfall, the new Roland Emmerich disaster movie yesterday. And Chris, I know what you might be thinking. You might be saying, Mike, please spare me from spoilers. Please don't spoil this movie for me. I'm going to see it at some point. It is a Roland Emmerich movie. I'm a millennial. I think we're required to go see these, right?
Well, I've already listened to several reviews on it, so you can't spoil me.
Well, there's no way I could possibly spoil you, Chris, because we walked out of the movie before it even started. I bought the tickets for the film a few days ago because we wanted to go see it with a friend, and it was going to be this is going to be a great dumb movie watch. We've heard really bad things about this, but let's just go watch the spectacle unfold on the screen. This movie has been doing really bad at the box office, so I'm sure nobody's even going to be in this theater. And at our specific movie theater, really old movies or movies that aren't selling well are kind of relegated to their basement theaters, which feels like you're in a train car. It's these really narrow theaters. There's barely any seats in there. And when I bought our tickets, we were the only ones in the theater. So I was like, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to have this whole theater to ourselves. Well, things got bad quick. We showed up to the movie theater, and I was like, oh, we're waiting for our friend to show up. So I'm going to pull up my phone, and I'm just going to check to see how many tickets have been sold in this theater. And lo and behold, this small little theater is almost totally sold out. I was like, okay, good on you, Moonfall. You're bringing in some more audiences. You're getting some more box office revenue. And maybe this will be better, right? Even more people in the theater will all going to be laughing ridiculously at this Roland Emmerich spectacle. Until we start walking towards the front of the movie theater, Chris, and we see a literal gaggle, a horde of 10-year-old boys running around like psychopaths. They are literally jumping on top of each other. They're standing on each other's shoulders, like totem poles, and there's like these two resigned mothers just off to the side, just like, what is going on? Like, we cannot even wrangle these children. And then when we walk into the theater, I start doing analysis of the Showtime list very, very deeply of like, okay, what movie could these children possibly be going to? Is it our movie? Is there anything else? Could these mothers be making the really bad parenting choice and taking them to the new Jackass movie? I would appreciate that, and they'd probably really enjoy the Jackass movie. But lo and behold, our Showtime for Moonfall is the only movie playing at this current time. So I'm going, oh my God, no, this is going to be awful. So we get into the theater. The kids aren't in there yet. Okay, maybe there's a chance they showed up really early and they're just waiting it out until their next movie. And then just as the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 trailer starts, this horde of children walks in, fills the theater. They're going wild. They're talking about how they love Sonic. They're going to see this movie. It's crazy. They're sitting on the floor. They're all over the place. And we just all look at each other and we're just like, yeah, let's just get up and go. So we just walked right out up to the ticket counter. We're just like, can we get our money back? And they're just like, yeah, we saw them walk in. So even the employees knew what was going on there. I mean, I would love to judge these parents harshly, but at the same time, I remember being that age. I remember getting worked up when I was around all my friends. Maybe the best decision wasn't to take all these kids to a movie, right? But it's like a no-win scenario for everybody involved, except for if it's a birthday party. Who knows? This kid is probably making memories for the rest of his life here. So what a hard place to be in. But this is just my little story of I haven't had a chance to see Moonfall yet because of a bunch of 10-year-olds. But
well, yeah, that good for them. I mean, how many do they have like open jars of jalapenos like around as well? Like that really just
did not stick around long enough to find out.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought it was going to be something else worse, but that is good to know. I've only ever walked out of one movie myself, and it was World War Z. But that was because like a group of people came in 30 minutes late and were on their cell phones the whole time. So I would much rather use your experience than the one I had. So I understand completely.
Yeah. And the thing is, rowdy movie theaters can be really, really fun, but these 10-year-olds are not rowdy for the right reasons. I need them to be rowdy for the movie we're about to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, sorry to hear that. Let's shift gears. Let's talk about the moon in another light, if you will, with Moon Knight.
Oh, Chris, I love that segue. Great job.
Boom, roasted. So Empire Magazine's coming out later this month, and of course they put the covers online this week, and they show us off the first suit, the big Oscar Isaac in the full Moon Knight suit, and I've got to be honest, I really dig this suit, Mike. Like this is we see here classic Moon Knight. He's got the cape. He's got the widow's peak cowl. He's covered in bandages. He's using again like little half moon crescent moons to really accentuate the stuff, and then also his bloody ones in his hands and knuckles kind of gives away some brutality here. And the texture, I don't know if you zoomed in close enough, Mike, to see the texture on the suit, but it looks really, really good. I'm thoroughly impressed how much they're leaning into the Moon Knight suit when they could have easily pared it back for the big screen, if you will.
Yes, after downloading Blender the other week and learning how to render even the simplest, most objects, I'm very familiar with textures now, and I'm just like, man, that probably took a while to render. Well, probably not on a Marvel machine, right? Yeah. But this just makes me think of the trailer we saw just the other week, and I just remember the intensity of it, right? So I have a positive vibe about this series.
Yeah. I think the other thing is interesting about this, if you look at his mask, his eyes are white, but his pupils are even whiter, if you will.
Yeah, he's got little white pupils, yeah.
Like, so you can probably see where he's looking rather than just have the generic white kind of cowl, if you will, that you see in a lot of the comic books.
Well, and also, too, I'm not 100% sure on what the interpretation of the costume is supposed to be in the comic books, but it looks like his face is kind of exposed. I think there's like you can kind of see even like grayish eyebrows, right? So I think we're under the assumptions that we'll be seeing Moon Knight emote.
Yeah. Good. And my guess is it's probably very CG suit. and just kind of masked over Oscar Isaac's performance as well. So yeah, it looks good. I'm really digging it. But the big thing is people are going crazy over the Mr. Knight suit. Empire released another image showing Moon Knight in his white suit and mask here that has been made popular in the comic books the past few years. So he looks to have what appears to be almost identical to Daredevil's billy clubs, if you will, in his hands. A very pristine white suit, white jacket, tie, everything. And then the mask he's wearing is more form-fitting, less texture, but there's like a line that splits it down the middle a little bit. Kind of make it an asymmetrical mask here. I enjoy this. I'm glad to know they're going down different suits. And how will they implement this into the show itself? I don't know, but I'm very excited to see this.
Well, we've seen kind of like the mysticism kind of magic envelop Oscar Isaac in the first suit in the trailer. So I guess you could assume that it would be kind of like almost like a symbiote of fabric, maybe, that kind of like can take any shape or form, maybe depending on what type of altercation, or since this is all kind of like about different personalities, maybe a different personality is inside of this suit.
Yeah, I could also imagine, honestly, maybe being inside his head, rather than a physical representation of the suit as well. Like, maybe Khonshu takes this look instead of the big spooky bird beak thing to talk to him at some point. So I don't know. There's a lot of questions. I believe we will be getting a trailer today during the Super Bowl. I don't know. We're gonna find out here in a couple hours. So I think these images are pretty cool, and I'm glad we got to look at them here before we kick it off. Jumping into the next one, Miss Marvel has potential episode titles leak, and I'm gonna say take this with a huge grain of salt here, Mike. Huge grain, because we're gonna go through these, and I'll tell you why. So the first one's called Kamala Khan Embiggen, then followed by 5 weekly episodes called Lockin Jaws, The Woman I Look Up To, New Kid on the Block, My Faith, and Only Here to Save the World. Now I believe these titles are fairly representative of the show as a whole. Lockin Jaws is interesting because Lockjaw, as you remember from the beloved Inhumans show, is an inhuman dog, and Kamala and Lockjaw in the comic books have a good relationship because she is an Inhuman. Now, does this mean Inhumans are going to be in the show? I don't know. Is this a red herring, if you will? Who knows? I don't know. But the other part of this that makes me kind of like sprinkle my rumor salt on this heavily is that they say the show will debut May 13th. We're going to talk about a show that's debuting May 25th later, and I don't think we'll have any overlap this year, Mike, if I'm going to be honest, between Disney Plus properties. But I would gladly be wrong in this situation, but 1 week after Doctor Strange, I'm just not feeling it. I feel like I feel like that first title is very, very promising, right? Kamala Khan and Embiggen, because the only thing that we've kind of been seeing about this show power-wise is that like she might have like crystal gauntlets, and they're like kind of just changing her power set, and everybody was really nervous about that. But if this is called Kamala Khan and Embiggen, like, well, that's her power set, right? To Embiggen. So if that actually happens, maybe we actually are getting the Kamala Khan that we've seen in the comic books. So, the release date, one thing that we've learned the last 2 years is release dates are the most fungible things, right? At this point in time. So maybe that's just some old info, who knows, but the title seemed
classic Kamala.
And the title seemed pretty, like, again, Embiggen, Lockin Jaws. The Woman I Look Up To is she looks up to Captain Marvel. New Kid on the Block, maybe they have to move because, of her abilities. My Faith, she's from an Islamic family, and Only Here to Save the World, makes sense as well. So I think the titles are realistic, just I don't think the date is. So, we'll probably learn more about this. This would be the big surprise for the Super Bowl trailer would be Miss Marvel or She-Hulk trailer, I think, in the Disney Plus side of things. So I'd be interested to see if they have anything here, maybe even a small tease of it. I mean, that would be a way to show her abilities off for real. Would be this game. Speaking of Marvel streaming properties, let's talk about the craziest news this week, Mike. If you go to Netflix right now and choose any of the Marvel shows, they say that they are leaving the service March 1st. And what we thought was a never-ending deal with Netflix. Marvel, I guess the rights are now up for grabs on those shows. They are not Netflix originals. In fact, in the terms that Netflix owns them, now they could be going to any other streaming service that Disney / Marvel deem necessary or worthy. And those shows include Daredevil, Jessica Jones, The Punisher, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Defenders, all of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which are also already on Disney+, but shared on Netflix, Marvel Superhero Adventures Frostfight, and Marvel's Hulk Where Monsters Dwell. We always worry about the live-action ones, the Defenders series. So, after the appearances of some of these characters in Marvel properties, it would be nice to have them under one umbrella, right, on Disney+. I think that would be a great place for them.
Yeah, I would say Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then the animated things could definitely end up on Disney+.
They're already there. They're shared, but they're leaving Netflix.
But it does make me wonder, like, there is some pretty salacious lovemaking scenes in at least Jessica Jones. I know I haven't been a completionist for a lot of this Netflix stuff, but they get graphic and they get sexual, right? And Disney Plus has been known for CGing out a mermaid's butt in Splash, right? So I would be surprised if they ended up on Disney Plus, but if they did, I think that would be a sign that Disney is more open to creating a kind of a more diverse catalog when it comes to age range, right? And I think parents like the idea of Disney Plus kind of being safe for their kids to click on anything, but if Disney really wants to increase the library of the app, they could always just make a little kids section, right? I mean, that's what every other app does.
So Disney Plus outside of America already has this. They've actually implemented their Hulu offerings into Disney Plus. I think they call it Disney Plus Star.
Isn't it like Hotstar or Star or something like that?
Yeah, with Star. So like they have the Star. It's built into Disney Plus. They go to Star, and that's the adult properties. Like they know what it is. Like I think Deadpool. Other R-rated films were in that world, so I could see them maybe even including some some warnings on some of these things, like recommendations on maybe the thumbnails or the descriptions, maybe a double verification before you play it on Disney Plus, because I'd like to have them all in one place. If I could be completely honest, I don't want to have Disney Plus and Hulu to watch all the Marvel stuff if I wanted to. Even though right now you have to have Disney Plus and Netflix, but if they're all going to one home, that'd be great. But the idea is, like, you're right, the sex scenes in Jessica Jones, honestly the blood and death in Punisher is even worse. They could go to Hulu probably before they go to Disney Plus because of that content, sadly.
But Disney here in America, Disney Plus, they have the Marvel Legacy tab. That might be a good place to put them, depending on where they consider them canon now that the multiverse exists. I think the biggest takeaway for me out of this news, though, is no matter what anybody tells you, right, whether they're a Hollywood news reporter, an insider, a really popular Marvel influencer, nobody knows the legalese of any of these deals ever, right? Only the lawyers and the studios know, and they're only ever going to release the information that makes both parties look the best, right? I'm not saying if when this news was announced, they say like, oh, this is going to be like a 8-10-year deal that we're going to do, and then after that amount of time, all this stuff is going to leave our platform. Obviously that kind of muddies the minutia of the announcement and the news, right? But I think we all just assumed that these were just going to stay on Netflix. They were Netflix originals, but I guess the definition of what a Netflix quote-unquote original has changed over time.
It was originally on Netflix.
Yes, exactly. So I think this is just a good kind of reminder for everybody out there. Like, we're all armchair legal quarterbacks when it comes to all of these IP rules and news and things like that. When anybody tells you they know exactly how the relationship between Sony, Marvel, and Spider-Man is panning out, nobody really knows until we know. So we're all just kind of shooting in the dark.
Yeah, exactly. And this is, and honestly, I don't think it's bad news for Netflix. I think they're fine carrying their own stuff. They haven't made these shows since 2017, maybe 2018. For Daredevil.
Well, also they did what they were supposed to do. It drove subscribers to their platform, and they might lose a very small amount of subscribers when all of these shows leave Netflix. But wouldn't it be weird, right, to think of a Netflix subscriber who is only sticking around for just these specific Marvel shows?
These old
that
shows
have been done airing. Yeah, so it's almost kind of like they've run their course. You know, who knows? Maybe this deal would have cost Netflix way more money if they wanted them indefinitely or if they wanted them for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
And this also could be a good sign that Marvel has definitely learned their lessons of indefinite licensing from back in the day when they were trying to save themselves from bankruptcy, right?
I wonder who did that. Jeff Loeb? Yeah. No, I think it's not bad. I just they will announce where it goes, I think for March. So I actually have some physical Blu-rays of Daredevil. I was actually looking at the other day. My wife got me for I think Christmas or my birthday several years ago, and I was like I probably need to sell these. Well, if they go up, of Netflix, I'm like, I bet the price of these is going to shoot up pretty quickly if people can't watch it on Netflix anymore. So they're all European imports. I don't think the U.S. did any physical media for these. So very, very interesting to see this. And we'll if anything else pops up, we will make sure to let you guys know where the new homes for these are as soon as they get there. Let's shift some gears into some DC stuff. So, Mike, you tried to buy your Batman tickets this week, but the IMAX special preview day that they announced earlier this week was sold out immediately for you, right? You couldn't get in there because they sold it early. It was supposed to go live on Thursday to go to that March 1st screening. I was lucky to get in on mine. It's not my preferred seats. I'm on the outskirts of it because it filled up pretty quick. But I'm very excited to get to watch Batman, as soon as possible. Right, like this is one of those movies we even talked about. You want to go in early because things could be ruined pretty quickly in a Batman movie.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, you get the chance to see it on Tuesday. I'll be seeing it on Thursday. This will be the first film in a long time that I've seen like on a normal weeknight. Right?
Yeah.
I'm finally feeling more comfortable to be in more packed settings of
Imagine
a movie
all the
theater.
10-year-olds following you around.
Oh no! I mean, this is the bonus, right? Of a Thursday night showing. You get people that really want to see this movie, and it filters out a lot of the younglings at that point in time. So that is the bonus of kind of going back to the movies how I used to go to the movies. So actually,
I agree.
I'm not super worried about spoilers for this movie specifically because you're starting off like a brand new Batman franchise, right? You know, there's really there's nothing telling of exactly where it's going to go. You know, we might get a post-credit scene that'll be interesting, but I think it's going to be pretty much a standard film for the most part. I don't expect kind of like Doomsday to kind of be teased at any point in time in this film, but I want to see it. It looks it's looking more and more intense every trailer I see.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with me is it's maybe not spoilers. I want to go in. I've only watched the last trailer I think we covered on here, and that's it. I don't want to watch any more. I don't want to see any more action scenes. I don't want to see more broody Robert Pattinson. I don't want to know any more of the Joker's motives or anything like that. So I'm trying to go into this as dark as I can. Literally as blind as I can go into this. Blind as a bat, if you will.
Blind as a bat, dark as the Dark Knight.
Dark as the Dark Knight.
The one thing I did get to see in front of Moonfall was a trailer for Uncharted. And if you're trying to go into that movie dark, do not go watch any of the trailers. Like, it was one of those trailers that's cut in the sense of, let's show them literally everything. We just need people to buy tickets to this movie. Yeah. The whole movie was spoiled for me. It's one of those trailers that shows you every beat of the film. You know how they've been obscuring the mustache of the Sully character through all of the trailers? They even show freaking Sully with the mustache in the trailer at the end. It's just like, what are you doing?
It's funny you mention this because remember a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, there's a new Uncharted trailer, but I heard it shows everything, so I don't want to put it on here. Apparently you saw it, so despite my best efforts to protect you,
I believe it even shows off probably the third act set piece, and I only believe it's the third act because it looks very similar to kind of what you see in kind of like the final act of the video game. So the whole film has basically been spoiled for me, but I'm probably still going to see it.
Yeah, I'm not as precious. I might not get around to it right away, but Batman I'm trying to avoid as much as possible, and I honestly forget how. I thought this was next week and not 2 weeks away. I'm like movies, or 3 weeks away. I'm like, movies don't come out soon enough. But I'm very excited to go watch this IMAX release. And then on Friday, Warner Brothers, in lieu of going to the Super Bowl and putting in trailers. They've released their own trailer called the DC Needs Heroes. The DCU Needs Heroes teaser. And while it does have Batman clips, I kind of tuned out to those. I was very, very interested in the rest of the shows they tease in this. They actually tease the rest of the year's movies for DC, and it's a big year for DC movies. 4 films, right, in their big heroes in their repertoire getting films. I'm actually really, really excited to talk about these, Mike. And the first up is probably the one we have the least on, and that's The Flash.
Yeah, so, honestly, I'm shocked that this trailer overall was not saved for like the Super Bowl or something like that. I mean, I know people are they watch trailers everywhere now, right? They see them on TV, they see them on Twitter, all over social media. But this trailer on the official Warner Brothers YouTube page has not even cracked 600,000 views yet, right? Mm-hmm. And I think there's a lot of really crazy stuff in this trailer. It's a really smart idea to put all of your stuff for this calendar year into a really hyped trailer, right? Yeah. Why wouldn't you put this in the Super Bowl, right? I know it's only a minute, so it might be, a little bit longer than a 30-second spot. That plenty of people do, like, I think minute
Batman
spots. Like,
will make the money back to justify the advertising.
Yeah, exactly. This is almost the perfect amount of time to put. I'm just surprised that this is not scheduled for the Super Bowl. But who knows? Like, maybe we do end up seeing it tomorrow, and just just didn't know.
Well, you mean today?
Today, yeah, today. Today's the Super
Warner
Bowl.
Brothers has
right.
as we talked, Warner Brothers has no spots in the Super Bowl. Neither does Sony, so they're not doing it at all. But what I like about this, again, we saw some Batman stuff. That's fine. The Flash, we'll talk about the other characters in a minute. But the Flash, we get to see his new suit image, and he actually. The one we have popped up here, the next frame, you get to see him actually get goggles that pop over his eyes, like little. Well,
Chris, if you're going to be running through time and space in the Speed Force, you got to keep the moisture of your eyes protected.
Yeah, exactly. You're probably going to have dry eyes. But this suit, it doesn't look like it has the loosey wire draped all over it like the one did from Justice League, right? It looks a little more sleek. It's got some texture in it, some looks almost like brain matter texture. Very, very cool looking. And then we get to hear also in this, Michael Keaton's voiceover is saying you can go to any dimension at any time, whatever. Why would you choose to save this one? So I'm very excited to see this movie kind of come to fruition. Again, we saw 2 Ezra Millers as the Flash. In the last teaser, they're saving this Batman reveal, Mike. They're just saving to actually show us Michael Keaton for the full trailer, but. I think in front of the Batman would be a good time to put that, right? Because that's their next movie. You don't want to. We always hope, right? We always hope the studios will give us what we want, but it usually doesn't happen. No, it doesn't. But this is still cool. This is still cool to see the Flash. I think he's him and the last one we'll talk about are probably the least amount. But I think the coolest bit here is the power of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson just out here. Telling people what to do. He is Black Adam himself, and his little clip here gave us, I think, more footage than any other movie in here that we've not seen before, including the first video reveals of Dr. Fate, played by Pierce Brosnan, Hawkman, and his huge fucking wings. Like, crazy enough. I saw it on Twitter to begin with, so it broke outside of the 1:1 ratio of the video. Atom Smasher running through downtown, looks like he's very large, kicking some cars. And then probably the least revealing is Cyclone, but she's on a ship of some sort. There's a ship in here, so I'm very excited to see these reveals here of these characters that we've never ever seen in live action, big screen before. I think they've been on the TV shows. So this Justice Society. I think they were even trending on Twitter is how popular this is. I think Hawkman's probably my favorite look out of all these.
Yeah,
so far.
Yeah. I suppose this is a good strategy, right, for your kind of film franchise and universe. Put as much as you can on the back of Dwayne Johnson because he can sell tickets. He can affect the box office just with his presence. Very proven actor. It is strange though that this is all kind of loaded on the character of Black Adam, which is known as like a nemesis for Shazam, which that sequel is still yet to come. So I'm really, really curious here what the strategy here is. It is exciting though, right? When we talk about Marvel, the MCU, we have seen so many movies already. They've tackled a lot of really popular storylines. We're just kind of thinking, oh, what are they going to do next? What are the new lines that they're going to interwoven. But this is all new. I still feel like we're still in like all of this like brand new, like untouched.
Yeah.
You just put in down fresh carpet and no one's even really stepped on it yet. So this is exciting.
We may not know what Warner Brothers has behind, plans in the long run, but at least, Black Adam's been teased for how long now? Like they were making this. Another company, was it Legendary, was signed up to make it rather than DC at one point. Black Adam, The Rock looks great in the suit as always. He's just an infectious actor, whether he's playing that role or just playing, Dwayne Johnson on screen again. He's gonna have superpowers of lightning, but like these ancillary characters, I think were really cool. And I think Dr. Fate, essentially the Doctor Strange of DC being brought into this is going to be very, very interesting. A lot of these characters are also playable on the Injustice video game if you wanted to learn more about them. But I think these clips are really cool. I'd watch the original teaser to see them in action rather than these screenshots we have in our show notes here.
Yeah, these are pretty big reveals, though. Everybody, and everybody has their favorite kind of like DC characters, right? So everybody will rank them differently. But Dr. Fate and Hawkman, those are big. Those are big gets to finally get out there in live action.
Yeah, and Atom Smasher is interesting because he's technically, I believe, related to or connected to the Atom, played by Brandon Routh and made popular in the Legends of Tomorrow show. So his suit looks really familiar. He's just possibly like a giant man kind of version here running through the town. So
and I should say asterisks when I say first time in live action on the big screen.
On the big screen.
I feel like everybody's made their way through the CW verse by now.
Yeah, exactly. At this rate, I mean, several of them multiple times even. So check out those things in there. Watch the clip, and then the last one is very, very little, but I also saw this kind of trending on Twitter a bit. Is Jason Momoa as Aquaman returning this fall or this winter, November. So we get the first live action of his black suit, which is essentially if you just gave him a Zack Snyder suit, told him to walk around in it, and then also him on a throne with his hair floating around. I know that all the hair in those movies are CG, but there's King Aquaman sitting in his orange green.
It looks very awkward for somebody underwater to sit on a chair, right? Like a chair is very pointless underwater. Yeah. So it almost looks like his shoulders are kind of like floating up with his hair. It's like, it looks kind of comfortable. Why don't you just float?
Well, to me, and I hate to be this person, it looks like the chair is unfinished CGI. And he's very polished and shiny on it. And it's like slightly out of focus, even though it's on the same like area he is. So, obviously we're supposed to look at Jason Momoa in his orange and green suit as King of Atlantis, but like the suit just feels like it's almost there. They'll probably have it finished by November, but it hadn't quite got there yet. But they got that hair floating in water CGI down, Mike. That's a plug-in now. I think we can buy it, put it on the show. So that's all you can see in there. I think it's a great clip to watch. DC's got a lot, 4 huge movies coming out swinging this year with Batman, The Flash, sleeper hit, I believe, with Black Adam, simply because it's The Rock and Aquaman and The Lost Kingdom. So check that out, and we'll be keeping you posted as we get closer to the Batman here in a couple weeks. On the flip side of that, we're going to keep talking about Batman. The Batgirl movie, which is currently filming, we talked a little bit about last week with J.K. Simmons, who plays J. Jonah Jameson on set. We actually get to see this Michael Keaton in his original Batman suit on set here. So we knew Michael Keaton was in this movie. Now we get to see him in his Batman suit. Look at those big ears, Mike, and that big yellow oval on his chest there. That's classic Batman, isn't it? Like that's 80s, 89 Batman right there.
Yeah, I'm curious with the Michael Keaton injection into this universe, how his suit portrayal is going to be, right? Because I feel like the audience at least wants to see the original Keaton suit, maybe not necessarily on him, but at least on like a pedestal inside of the Batcave. We just want an acknowledgement that it exists. But I would imagine if he suits back up, it'll be along the same vein, but it'll be like a little updated, right? A little like streamlined,
less
or
rubber. He can move his neck, maybe.
Yeah, or like some adornments of just like stuff that they could do now with costuming. So from this very grainy, blurry, zoomed in smartphone photo, you can see like it does kind of mirror the silhouette of the Keaton Batman, but it looks like there could be some differences.
It looks like there's some more gray underneath his breastplate there, more than the dark.
Yeah, maybe there's like a bit of like an inset to the costume or something. Yeah, it's hard to say.
So what this does, knowing Batgirl has J.K. Simmons in this, I believe fully that they're trying to integrate Michael Keaton into the main DCEU post-Flash universe, right? Because the Flash goes to his universe from the teaser we saw, and we do see the old suit in there a little bit. So I believe they're going to be bringing him into the DCEU. So this will be, if you will, the Ben Affleck replacement in the DCEU. But Robert Pattinson will definitely not be.
It's funny to imagine a world, right, where maybe Michael Keaton's career didn't bounce back, or maybe he became a firebrand and like nobody liked him, and then like there's a version where this movie is made with Val Kilmer instead, which would be really funny, or George Clooney. But we should be happy that we have Keaton, is what I'm saying.
I would put it on Val Kilmer. However, sadly enough, he has the throat cancer and hasn't been able to speak in several years.
I didn't know that about Val Kilmer.
Yeah, he's been real ill the past several years. I think he's coming out of it, but I think he's lost. I think like maybe affected his vocal cords.
Whoa,
cancer, so
that's awful.
Yeah, but George Clooney. No, I don't want that one. We don't need the bat nipple suit at all. Or the bat credit card. But you can check out that photo on our show notes. That's fresh. That's hot off the presses, Mike. That was this morning when I put
steaming
here. It is. So let's shift gears here and go to Infinity and Beyond with the I guess this is the first full trailer maybe for Lightyear, right? We saw a teaser trailer, and this kind of expands on that, giving us a little bit more of a look at the action and maybe the story involved here. And then a cat robot, which I absolutely love. As an owner of 3 cats, I love that his little robot sidekick is a cat, and he does the hissing sound for the white noise.
Yes, that is a merchandise Chris will be buying.
Oh yeah,
for sure. We get a little bit of a story nod of they've been stuck on this planet, so they're trying to sneak their way off of it. There's a little preview of what may or may not be Zurg or a Zurg bot, or what exactly is going on there. Same David Bowie, right? Same David Bowie song in this trailer.
Yep.
It
looks like the world they're crashed on. I don't know what, like he's obviously on training, and then he ends up on a planet stranded later in the movie. It looks like, right? Like he wouldn't be an astronaut for like stranded first, but this planet looks like it's like attacking them. Like it's just like, it's not malicious, but like, hey, the native flora and fauna is like wanting to kill you, so let's get off of this planet after a year. It looks to be.
I'm curious if they'll go canon with the Toy Story movies and make Zurg Buzz Lightyear's father, right? Isn't that revealed in like the second Toy Story movie when they're on?
It's like the video game or something like that. It tells them that.
Yeah. I don't.
No. I thought the Zurg toy was reprogrammed to follow them, and that's why it said that.
Oh, maybe. I don't know, but that would be funny if they found a way to put this into the Lightyear movie. Yeah. But it looks great. The score, the music in the trailer is great. The animation looks amazing because Pixar is doing this really, really good job lately where they are giving like these hyper-realistic textures, but then also this cartoon look, and it just really vibes really well to me. It would have been cool if maybe this was a Super Bowl reveal, right? Yeah. Because we do know that Lightyear is supposed to be one of the commercials, but it sounds like we'll probably just get a 30-second spot that tells you to go watch this trailer that already came out. But my hope is, who knows, maybe the 30-second Super Bowl spot has a little bit of extra, right? Maybe one new reveal. That would be kind of fun.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to see something extra than the earlier trailer. But the trailer is good. I think this will be the first Pixar movie that does not go to Disney Plus, Mike. I think this will be the Disney Pixar moneymaker for the year right here. Like, you got Chris Evans voicing Lightyear in a Toy Story spinoff. Like, this is the perfect world colliding right here. So, count me in. It looks fun, looks beautiful. Very, very excited to kind of check this out. Even if it has one of those, what's that, Christopher Nolan Interstellar vibes? Going to outer space. So, we'll definitely be following that and let you guys know. On the flip side, another trailer that dropped early, I thought this was going to be a Super Bowl spot, was Jurassic World Dominion, the third Jurassic World thing. So this trailer came out, and it shows like, hey, after the last one, what's Jurassic World? What's the second one called?
Lost? Fallen Kingdom?
Fallen Kingdom, yeah.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs out in the world. So what do you do? You go get the original cast back together. You get, Dr. Alan Grant, Evelyn Sattler, and Ian Malcolm, and you mix them up with the new cast of people, and It looks like, honestly, I'm excited, but it looks like it's playing the hits of the old movies. Like there's even a plane scene where it's attacked by a pterodactyl or pteranodon, which is like from the third movie that nobody liked. But it looks like they could be like improving upon it, if you will. There's velociraptors. There's a baby velociraptor, Mike. That's gonna be tugging at your heartstrings a little bit.
When this trailer wrapped, the first thing I thought was this movie's gonna make so much money, right? Yeah. I mean, we know the Jurassic World. What was the first? Was it just called Jurassic World? First
Jurassic
one?
World was the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, that one made a ton of money. It's totally synergizing now with the previous franchise, bringing all the actors back.
Yeah.
I sat down and I watched the trailer for a second time with my wife, and she had never seen the trailer before. She didn't even know all of the original actors were returning, and she's a really big fan of the original Jurassic Park franchise. So I put the trailer on, and she was just like, oh, why are they making another one of these? You know, she was kind of vocally distressed that we were watching this trailer. But then all of a sudden, Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, all of these characters start popping up, and then all of these adventure action scenes pop up. We get to see a dinosaur with feathers. There's this awesome shot where I think they're in like some sort of like downtown, like maybe Italian metropolitan city or something, and there's freaking like 2 T-Rexes. There's like velociraptors running down like these ledges of these buildings and stuff, and then like my wife was like, oh, that looks good. So this is gonna get everybody to go see the film, whether you're a fan of kind of like this new reboot franchise or not. It has everything that you're looking for.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I keep thinking is Jurassic Park does not have ownership over the idea of a dinosaur movie. I would love to see any other studio attempt to make a dinosaur movie, right? A modern dinosaur movie. Take a different spin on it. Blumhouse, go ahead. Make one where you only ever see one dinosaur and it's in shadow all the time, but it's like a Dino Crisis type thing, right? I would love to see anybody else take a stab at the dinosaur stuff because it's just fun and it's exciting. And I think the only other time I've seen dinosaurs like in live action are like the Journey to the Center of the Earth or something?
Yeah, there was
that movie's garbage. So
there was a movie called Dinosaurs, I think, which was made by Disney.
But that was all CG, kind of like cartoony.
Well, there's also
right?
like Dinotopia is the one I was trying to get to, I believe, where humans live with dinosaurs. Yeah, they've really not done it. I think it's tricky to do, and the science and how the first Jurassic Park hit so well, like they've just been able to replicate that formula, and nobody else has had that opportunity.
Or go genre. Jurassic Park, does a really smart, realistic interpretation kind of how this could happen. Based off the original, was it Crichton books, right?
Yeah, Michael Crichton wrote Jurassic Park and The Lost World. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of takes this very scientific approach of how this could or couldn't happen, right? Go crazy with it. Like, go very, 80s nostalgia. Make an 80s movie with a dinosaur in it or something,
Time travel is what I want to see. Maybe it's a time travel. They go back, bring dinosaurs from the past to now. And then that's how they do it.
Expand on this dinosaurness, or maybe not even a movie. Make, like, a full-budget video game that really focuses on, you're a human character with dinosaurs. I know.
Turok. You're thinking Turok.
Turok, Horizon Zero Dawn. I know they're not technically dinosaurs, but they're kind of like big robotic ones. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like tap into the dinosaur vein. Everybody loves dinosaurs.
Yeah. I mean, we're back. A dinosaur story. That was a Spielberg animated film in the 90s. But yeah, I think this is fun. I think the other thing is in this we get to see the Dilophosaurus for the first time since the first one. In this one, so it looked like a puppet, so I was really, really happy to kind of see that. So
speaking of puppet shots, we might be able to talk about that in the last thing that we talk about at the end of the show.
Yes,
it just reminded me, so hopefully I'll remember.
So we might not get a Jurassic World Dominion trailer at the Super Bowl, but I have on strong authority that Lord of the Rings will be there. But that's not the only thing Amazon's doing. Amazon's also doing a Blade Runner live action series. Well, that will not be at the Super Bowl because I read my notes out of order, as you probably noticed, and Bruce could let me slide with. Blade Runner is an interesting choice for a live action series.
Yeah, I wonder what the strategy is at Amazon, because it's definitely a noticeable and recognizable IP. But I think one thing, unfortunately, about the last Blade Runner film, even though it was very critically well received, I don't think a lot of people went to go see it. And I remember seeing all of these headlines and think pieces about like what types of movies people want to see at the box office and blah, 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 all of that. So maybe they feel like this is just kind of like not like a value bet, but who knows, maybe the IP was slightly more affordable as like a premium IP comes, or maybe they feel like, oh, if we can just make a really good series, the word of mouth plus the history of the series will get it out there. I mean, one thing we do know about Amazon, one thing everybody knows about Amazon, is they have an unlimited amount of cash to do anything that they want. Yeah. And that goes into the Lord of the Rings bullet point as well. So, I mean, if you can elevate it, right, and get the series to trend somewhere on the internet, the Blade Runner IP may become, I guess, recognizable again. I'm not dunking on it at all, because I know people really love the world and everything, but that's the only thing I remember about the last film is that all the headlines that said nobody went and saw the movie.
Right. I think the headlines for the original were the same way. Nobody saw the first Blade Runner. It was considered a failure, but only found life afterwards. Really. And I think what's great about Blade Runner is the world of Blade Runner. I mean, there's like 30 years difference between them, I believe, or so, whenever they released in the world. The ideas of there's robots and androids, and they don't know that they're androids, or they do, and what is their lifespan, what does it mean? And I believe there's also other planets, right? Like even Jared Leto was on like another planet when he was playing his creepy blind person in his movie.
Heck if I know.
Yeah, but like I was saying, the idea of Blade Runner, there's a lot to be done with it. I agree with you, and I just think it might be something that they could do for the less money on a TV budget, or and get more people. I don't know. You're right. It's a very interesting choice.
I mean, I already know that they are they're making like animated serialized versions. They've made like short films all in the Blade Runner universe. So yeah, you can tap into that pretty well. And production wise, kind of the nice thing about it, right, is if you're Android or whatever, they look like people. So you just cast an actor. You don't have to do anything like that. And who knows, maybe they'll use like a volume type setup to do this show, right? Because that's one thing that's great about Blade Runner, is kind of like the rich kind of futuristic world, right? So throw that up on the Unreal Engine Dome, right, on that screen in the background, you're good to go.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, to not be too much of that person, I think a Blade Runner prequel showing how the androids were created and their use would be very interesting, because we kind of get into the point where they're working and they're hunting down the rogue ones, but we don't know exactly what they're doing, right? We just know they've gone rogue, and Harrison Ford is hunting them, and maybe he has one, we don't know, but I think there's an opportunity, like, hey, the creation of the androids, how do we create them, how do we make them human? I think there's some story in there to implement them early on, but we're not 100% prequel people along the way, so I don't know, we'll see that. But on the other side, what I meant to say earlier, because I jumped to it on accident, is Lord of the Rings will have a trailer for its Rings of Power show during the Super Bowl. There are I am jumping around again. Goddamn. Lord of the Rings. So I'm gonna switch these notes around. So the Rings of Power has a live action. There's a lot of Lord of the Rings stuff today. Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power has some live action. So there's some shots I've seen floating around of like people in like fields and maybe some like other places. But apparently you're familiar with Galadriel and Elrond in the original movie trilogy?
Yeah, I'm somewhat familiar.
Yeah, so apparently they will be in this. They have different actors.
Yeah, because they're like, you're talking about the elf characters, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because they have like the long lifespans, right? So it would make sense that they would still be alive.
Yeah, and also it's Kate Blanchett and guy who played Agent Smith. Hugo Weaving.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Hugo Weaving were the original ones. So this would be much younger, the second age, hundreds if not thousands of years before this. So
yeah, I remember looking at the shots when they were released the other day. It looks beautiful, right? I mean, this is exactly what you would want these first set shots to. I guess they're not set shots necessarily. I think they're more like just screen grabs from from what they've been filming, but it looks great, right? Like we just said, Amazon has a ton of money. If anybody can kind of pull off the budget for the Lord of the Rings show, it's this studio, and we know it's expensive. I don't remember the dollar amounts, right? But that was one of the first kind of news bits that came out after the show was announced, that this is going to be like one of the most expensive things on TV. So, yeah, and I'm surprised it's coming out so soon. I feel like it was just announced like a year ago, and we weren't going to be seeing anything for like 5 years. But I guess time is a flat circle, and I've lost all semblance of it.
Yeah, well, and also, I mean, I believe that when you mentioned, but I believe it's supposed to be upwards of $1 billion for this series, this first season. So, hopefully it looks good in action rather than just the still shots that you can doctor up a little bit. So I'm hoping that this live action trailer that we get today really sells, because I think that they'll probably spend a lot of money, maybe not a 30-second, possibly even 60-second spot here, Mike, to really sell us this. So I want to see this. I want to see some magic. Damn it, give us some hobbits and their second lunch. The only thing I can get behind. So that's coming. And other Lord of the Rings news, this is what I was trying to get to earlier and I keep jumping over it, is that the movie and game rights for the Lord of the Rings franchise are coming up for sale. I believe who made the original movies? Is that Legendary?
Legendary, I believe.
Yeah. So I think the franchise rights are going to sell, and I believe Amazon is like the first person in line. Of course, they're like, we have the Rings of Power. We want all the Lord of the Rings rights so we can make everything going forward. So I don't see that being a problem, right? Like, I mean, Amazon
that would
has money to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that would be interesting to see. I didn't really think of the future of the franchise beyond this streaming series, right? I mean, it would make sense to make more films later down the line, right? Do you expand further back in time, past what happens with Frodo and Mordor? I don't know. I'm not a purist when it comes to the Silmarillion. I don't even know how to say it. The dictionary for Lord of the Rings, right? I don't really know a whole lot about the franchise, but yeah, like a lot of people have said before, you don't spend all of this money to not do anything, right? So if Amazon does acquire MGM, if they do get these rights for Lord of the Rings, that they're going to be making new stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it's not the Tolkien estate. Apparently, it's the Zaints company who has holdings in this, and it's valued of around $2 billion for the purchase to have exploits in film, video games, merchandising, live events, and even theme parks. Could you imagine a Lord of the Rings theme park?
Whoa! I wonder if Bezos would want to actually build a new theme park, or would they just do the thing that every other brand does and just like license it to like Universal, right?
Yeah. Maybe they put it in the metaverse.
God, Chris, you again. Twice already this episode. You're bringing up the metaverse.
Well, it's just funny because I could imagine them being like, "Oh, do you want some Lord of the Rings NFTs? You want to own your own little Hobbit hole in Hobbiton?" I could see them easily doing stupid shit like that, and just I'm laughing at it now. Hopefully, before it becomes true. But at the same time, I could see them Universal making very much a Lord of the Rings theme park, right? Like they've done the Avatar, the movie at Disney. Like, why would they not, kind of do that kind of thing? But I think this is an interesting point here. It was New Line, not Legendary, by the way, who did the movies. I would love to dive more into Lord of the Rings, but hopefully they make it palatable for the commoners such as ourselves. We're like I said, we're not precious on Lord of the Rings. My precious, get it? It's a joke. But
Chris.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to make this work here. But at the same time, I don't think it's bad. It's not a bad universe to go into, right? Like, there's a lot here. The rise, the extreme rise of fantasy, especially like Dungeons and Dragons and things like that over the past couple of years, really makes this like almost like a pop culture. Have your thumb on the pulse of society, and you can easily make Lord of the Rings even bigger 20 years later than the original movie. So yeah, I'm excited for this. So we'll keep you guys posted as we jump through that. In weird news, didn't expect this, Futurama is getting revived, Mike, at Hulu. a 20 episode season, I believe, or a return. But the voice of Bender, was it John DiMaggio? Joe? Not,
I think it's John.
Yeah. Is possibly has not signed on for a return as Bender yet. They're apparently still working out his contract. I would say he's probably the most well-known voice actor on the show. That character is very much a staple of Futurama. When you think of it, do you think of him saying "Kiss my shiny metal ass"? But
yeah, it's been very decisive in my Twitter feed over the last couple days because the reports are, and even John DiMaggio shared this Entertainment Weekly article that stated he is looking for more money to return, but the other actors that have voiced all the other iconic characters have signed off on the money. So some people are saying like, oh, he doesn't deserve to get paid more than the other main leads of the show. Some people are saying, oh no, John is just trying to raise the ceiling for all the voice actors so they all get paid more. I think the fact of the matter is, like, you know, whether or not Bender is or isn't the most popular or iconic character or whatever, actors almost always get paid on the history of their acting, right? It's not necessarily always the importance of what they are in the show, right? Yeah. It's how many credits they have behind them, how busy that they are in a given calendar year, right? Now, if John DiMaggio has been in X number of things more than any of the other voice actors, their time is more valuable. So you can't just necessarily, you know, write John off for like trying to be like money grubbing. Like, this is a business. He's a very talented voice actor, and he's really well respected in the voice acting community. He made like a whole documentary about voice acting that I watched a few years back that was really, really fun.
He is very much, I mean, if you go look at his Wikipedia or his IMDb, you will see he is not he's not a one-trick pony, if you will.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to say. Like,
and I'm not saying the other voice actors are like deadbeats or anything like that. No. They're all still working. They're all still doing a great job, but it's just like, it's up to a person of like how much they feel like they're worth and how much their time is valuable. But when it just comes to the general news, right, of more Futurama, I don't really know. Like, the original run of Futurama is iconic. It's amazing. It's some of the best television ever made, right?
Both of them. It's already been canceled once and brought back.
Yeah, but every time it's been renewed and brought back, either in movie form or series form, like, it's just gotten a little less entertaining to me. So it still has like all of like what you want in the show there, but it just feels like a little less magical and special every time it comes back. So who knows? I'm not super excited. I'm not really going to be there day one to watch it as soon as it drops. But I love Futurama.
I would like to see what they do, because I think, you know, to the point of the last season when it was brought back and ended, it ended on a really, really good episode, right? Like, the series finale was almost perfection. The time travel loop of Fry and Leela being together and trying to be together forever. Like, that is an amazing ending to the story, because this show has some great episodes, right? I mean, everyone remembers Fry's Dogs episode. Like, this show, despite it being a goofy play on what the future really looks like, it is still got some heart to it with that, and I'm excited to see where it goes. But I'm not like, I wasn't clamoring for bring it back, because it ended on such a really, really good note.
It is funny, though, because John DiMaggio voices a robot, and it would be so insanely easy to write in the story why Bender has a different voice, right? You know, software update or anything like that. But the show definitely won't be the same without John DiMaggio voicing Bender. Yeah. So hopefully they can figure that out.
Well, he's on one of your favorite shows you're watching right now, Inside Job. So you're watching that one, right? Is that you? No.
What?
My friend Brian is watching Inside Job. It's a play. It's an animated series on Netflix where they're making fun of like stuff like that.
The deep state.
The deep state, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I also saw he was on. He's still on Disenchantment. The guy who created Simpsons, Futurama, Matt Groening, his show on Netflix. He's still doing Disenchantment on Netflix. So. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the trailer looks like. They could also go back and just redo his voice if he ever signed back in. So, definitely not too bad over there. Keep it going. Big reveal this week. Obi Wan Kenobi May 25th release date, Mike. One little teaser poster and a May 25th release date. Do you think we will get a trailer today in the next 3 hours?
I mean, that would be great, right? You know, got to show up with something Star Wars at the big game, right?
Why would you give us a poster and nothing else? Because I will tell you right now, non-spoilers, there is no Obi Wan Kenobi thing on the season finale of Boba Fett. It is not touched at all. So you're gonna give us a poster and a release date. You need to give us a trailer next. So I feel like this is the next logical step for us today to see something here.
I'm honestly kind of surprised to see it's being released in May, and it's not May 4th, you know, Star Wars Day. So I would assume May 4th would, if there's not a trailer today, you know, there'll be like a second trailer, all right, that comes out May 4th.
Oh yeah, exactly.
That would make the most sense.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of Star Wars properties this year that, you know, they could do some reveals with. But yeah, I think a teaser today and something fuller closer to May, perfectly fine. They usually do it the same month anyway over there, so we'll let you know. We'll
man, May 4th is even a Wednesday too. Like they really were teed up for that day. Oh,
well,
man.
yeah, they people were thinking about it, but I think Disney as a whole, with Doctor Strange coming out that week, I think it's some synergy going on there.
I could see that.
Also in Star Wars news, for the Ahsoka show, actor Ray Stevenson, who you might know from Thor, he was Volstagg, the bigger guy in Thor movies, or he was the Punisher, literally in Punisher Warzone and other movies, has been cast in a villain role for the show. But he is not Thrawn, so don't get your hopes up, Mike. He's not going to be blue.
Hopes are not up. Hopes are not up.
Okay. Well, I mean, do you think Star Wars does blue characters really well lately?
I've been liking the blue characters so far.
The blue characters so far. So we don't have much else on this, but I figured I'd throw it in there, and we'll talk about it more when that pops up. Possibly a trailer for Ahsoka on May the 4th, Mike. I would not put it past it.
Oh, yeah.
That is our news episode for today. We're going to jump into the Book of Boba Fett. This is the series finale. This is the last episode. This is all it. All cards are on the table. The whole book has been read. It's been closed, put back on the shelf. We're going to talk about it. So spoilers ahoy, people. If you've not watched it, go watch it. Come back. Then you can listen. And if not, you know, whatever. You can listen to it. But I don't know why you would listen to us before you watch it. That's a weird thing to do. But, you know, to each their own. So the Book of Boba Fett ended with a series finale. What I liked about this episode, Mike, is that it is nonstop, pretty much action from the get-go, right? Like it picks up where the last one, and it just goes and it goes and it goes, which I really enjoyed. However, what I'm gonna say I don't like about this episode is this town feels really empty if he's protecting the people of it.
Yeah.
There's like no one else around but this small group of people he's fighting with and against.
Yeah, this is a very strange show overall, and this is maybe something that they'll have to figure out with Star Wars in general moving forward, of how much are we going to see of this desert planet or just desert planets in general. So, Chris, I know you have a little bit more knowledge of the Star Wars universe than I do, or just you've retained a lot more of it than I have. There is like basically 2 desert planets in Star Wars, right? There's Tatooine and then like Jakku, which is just kind of talked about a little bit. So it's mainly Tatooine, right? And that's where Mos Eisley's is. And what's the city that Boba Fett's trying to take over? What's it called?
Is it Mos Pelgo?
Mos Pelgo or Vespa or Mos something? It's a Mos something, right?
Yeah.
So this desert planet, right? It's getting so much love on Disney Plus. We got the Boba Fett show. Mandalorian was there for at least like a season and a half. It looks like the Obi Wan show is at least going to take place a lot on this planet. So why is this planet so important? It seems like they're doing their best to try to flesh it out, but like I don't really care about Tatooine anymore. I want to go other places in this galaxy far, far away.
Well, it says something when the best Boba Fett episodes are the ones where he's not in it, right? And it's not because it's the character is bad. It's because we actually got to see, you know, Mandalorian was on that Halo-looking spaceship, learning how to fight, and then literally we got to see the Luke Skywalker planet, Yavin 4, wherever he's training the Jedi at, right? Like, and they're very visually different. It's something to do, something to look at. And while, you know, I don't know if they filmed this during, you know, a lockdown or that affected why they only have several locations, but they only have like maybe 4 locales in this whole series, really, other than those 2 episodes, where they're like, we're at the party place, we're at the I said Jabba's palace, but it's Boba Fett's palace, or we're at the out just in the desert, hanging out on the sands.
It really shows when like Fennec has to go on her last ditch effort to drive to Mos Eisley, I think, where where the Pike Syndicate is kind of their bases on the planet. And like she's driving from like basically one desert town to another, and you can't really tell much of a difference. And I was like, oh, is that down the street, or how far is that away on the planet? That being said, like this is the funny thing about the Book of Boba Fett. I could go on and on and on and criticize the hell out of this show, and I think it's very deserved of criticism. But I still had a fun time. Yeah. And I think that's because, especially after season 3 of The Mandalorian comes out, right? And then subsequent seasons come down the line. When you really zoom out, the Book of Boba Fett isn't even really a TV show. It's not even a standalone property. It's almost like this little side story in The Mandalorian that just we happened to focus on for a couple weeks.
Well, to that point, they did say Book of Boba Fett is Mandalorian 2.5. They did set that expectation early on, but now that we're at the end of it, that hindsight really says, yeah, this really is Mando 2.5.
Yeah, and because it was 7 episodes, right?
Yes, 7 episodes.
Yeah. So, but really just 5 episodes, and then a lot of that was flashback. And I'm not saying the flashback was unnecessary, right? I actually really enjoyed the flashback with the Tuskens, but that really didn't circle back around. I kind of thought like his adoptive family would at least come back up thematically, and it really didn't. But I had a hell of a time watching the Rancor, right? I mean, there was that reveal shot that I'm pretty sure was practical, or there was practical.
There was a lot of rubbering and puppeteering for that Rancor in some of those shots. So I applaud them for like, oh, this is probably the same model they use in Return of the Jedi, actually, and just do a nose ring on it, because that was really, really cool to see that. I agree. Were those big destroyer droids? Are those brand new, or did those show up in the Clone Wars? Those were not in the Clone Wars, but they feel like huge droidecas, right? Like the rolly droids, because I think they rolled out, didn't they? Before maybe they didn't. They never rolled out, but I didn't see any.
But they had the big shield, and those things. Those were cool. Those were tanks. They did a really good job demonstrating like the kind of the limitations of what our heroes could do with them. Yeah. You know, when they were shooting the shields, I just kept thinking, just walk through them. You know, we saw in the prequels you could walk through the Gungan shields, right? And then like, oh no, they actually couldn't walk through those. So
the lightsaber couldn't even cut through it.
It was
higher power.
It was a presence.
Yeah, I mean, at no point did I not think the people of Freetown were going to show up. You know, it was like one of those things where, you know, oh my gosh, is that worse? Oh, something else shows up. Oh, something worse is. It was very much a back and forth, right? Like a lob and a toss. Like
also like badminton. When I saw the people of Freetown like show up, I was also just kind of confused, because like, what they've shown of Freetown is like 4 buildings. Like, how many people could be showing up? We don't have any context of like how big any of this stuff is on this planet.
There was about 6 people who got out of that car. I'll tell you.
Yeah. I just kind of had to sit back and like kind of let it wash over me. This very much kind of feels like, you know, when a brand new like Marvel movie is going to come out, there's like a companion comic book that you don't have to read, right? But, you know, it'll explain why C-3PO has like, you know, a red arm, right? Yeah. Nobody, you don't need to know, but it shows up in the movie. That's really what Book of Boba Fett really feels like to me. And it would literally be a book then. It would be a comic book. Yeah. So I think the benefit here is that the Book of Boba Fett doesn't feel like it's robbing me of more Mandalorian, right? Like, I don't feel like, oh, I have to wait an extra year now to see Mandalorian because this is taking up its slot. You know, we got to see it earlier in the year. So I think that's what's really being beneficial.
Well, I would add to that it also, I mean, to you know, good or bad, it gets to the point where, is Grogu going to get back with the Mando? Yes, he is. They already did that in Book of Boba Fett. We don't have to spend 2 or 3 episodes of The Mandalorian doing that because he's already with them. He's got a spaceship that has a little cockpit for him now that goes fast. So, like, it's actually building us up like some prequel, or not some prequel, some like preliminary stuff for Book of Boba Fett or Mandalorian season 3 that we don't have to go into. They can just go right into the story.
It is kind of strange to me, though, because the Book of Boba Fett basically resets the status quo for Mandalorian. He had this big emotional scene where he had to let go of Grogu, right? And I don't think anybody was prepared for that or exactly how long this situation might last. And you would think they would put all of this really important Mandalorian stuff in his own show. Now, obviously, you have a Disney Plus subscription already. If you're watching Mando, nothing's stopping you from going to watch this. But I think it's going to be very, very funny to witness somebody who's just very casual, only watching Mandalorian. They boot up season 3, and then they show you the previously on, and you're just like, wait a minute, I don't remember this from season 2. Wait, he's back with Grogu. He's got a new ship. What is going on here? So I think that will be funny. I don't think that's going to be the majority of people, especially with our very online world of people telling you, oh, no, at least just go watch these.
They'll probably, before season 3 comes out, they'll say, like, recommended viewing. And even if they don't have the whole show, at least 2 or 3 episodes, the last 2 to 3 episodes of Book of Boba Fett on there, right? Like, because I will say, one of the cool parts of this was literally seeing Boba Fett and Mandalorian with their jetpacks and their rockets and their blasters, just taking guys. Like, that's a video game moment to me. I'm like, man, that'd be pretty fucking cool to play, wouldn't it? Because even like Boba Fett's doing his knee rockets and shooting left, like he's doing all sorts of shit out there with his, like, he's got his whole arsenal at his disposal, and he uses it in this episode.
He's not holding anything back. He shoots the back rocket off, like you said, the knee rockets. Flamethrowers abound from Cad Bane and Boba Fett.
Oh yeah, they're up in the air. They're zooming around. They're doing stuff. You're watching the Beskar armor get shot. He's using it as a shield. You know, it was pretty cool to see. I was disappointed that at no point did he drive I think he didn't drive the Darksaber into the eye of the robot at any point, did he? He just like stuck it in the top of it. I'm like, that'd have been cool if he took down one of those big droids with the Darksaber right through the eyeball, like, and just blinded it. But
it's funny. I keep forgetting that Mando even has the Darksaber. Like, I'm sure somebody was just, when they were watching that scene of just use the Darksaber, I bet that could break the shield, and then he busts it out and it doesn't work. To me, I just keep forgetting that he has it, so it wasn't that much of an addition for me, but it's cool. It goes to show you how desperate he is, right? He's pulling out all the stops. Everyone had a good chance to shine in this. You know, I didn't expect the actual team to turn his back on him, like the other people, the other things. So like everyone literally betrayed Boba Fett in this, all the clans. And even like they killed his little pig face dudes off the cliff. Oh yeah, they fell.
But you know, I thought that they were gonna kill Kersantin at the end of this. I was like, oh no, they've got him. But he fought his way out all the way back, and then, you know, literally everyone made a dramatic entrance down that down that street at some point, right? Like, and by the time they got to the end, someone else came up behind them. I'm like, this is like a parade of people walking down this alleyway. Yeah.
Well, speaking of the very, very, very end, is that Timothy Oliphant?
Yes, I was going to say, are you excited that Cobb Vanth isn't dead and he's going to get some robotic enhancements along the way too?
I think what they should have done, like if they were going to put him in that tank, I think Cad Bane should have visibly wounded him a lot more, because it's very obvious that he just gets shot in the shoulder in that episode, in that standoff, whereas his other friend gets like shot like right in like the gut or the chest or something like that. So I feel like if they wanted it to really be a reveal, maybe maim him a little bit more or something, or make us think he is actually dead.
Yeah, well, they didn't really allude to him being alive until the end, so it could have gone either way. But you're right. I'm excited to see what robotic parts he's getting, and how that comes into effect in the Mandalorian. I will say, Cad Bane's not dead, right? His chest plate was still beeping after he got slightly stabbed with
I was trying to figure out what does that mean? What does that mean when his chest plate beeps? Is that him sending a signal to somebody?
No, I think it's like a life, like Darth Vader's chest plate, like it's like some sort of life thing.
Hopefully, I mean I know it's Star Wars, it's a futuristic galaxy, but hopefully they don't step in the sticky mess that the Kingsman 2 did, right? Of that crazy like headshot medication, right? Of like, oh, we put this inflating bag around your head and you can survive a shot to the brain.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, don't do that. You can't just like make everybody come back to life, you know?
Right, but at the same time, like he slightly got stabbed. There was like if you're talking about if you want to kill him for good, maim him better than just a slight stab wound when he's on the ground. Plus, he's an alien. I don't know his anatomy, so on and so forth.
Yeah, that is always kind of like the mushiness, right, of the Star Wars universe. It's just like, well, we don't know where Cad Bane's vital organs are, right?
Yeah, and then you know, again, Fennec Shand is already half robot because he saved her. We saw that a couple weeks ago, so it doesn't bother me. Cad Bane, I'm glad they didn't kill him, but you know, it was glad to see the stick fighting actually come back into play here late in the game. Yeah, overall, like you said, it's not the best thing in the world. We could literally go through and drag this through the mud if we wanted to, but I don't want to because I had a good time in Star Wars. I wish the sets were different, but like at the same time, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty fun. I enjoyed
it's
this.
It's a good time killer, right? You know, we're just out here trying to pass the time, waiting for the next like big premium thing, and this just felt like, you know, they have it. This is honestly probably one of the advantages of like, you know, having all of these characters and the volume and set around. Maybe this show only gets made, right, because it is in a desert environment, right? You know, it's really easy to kind of set all of these shots up, but yeah, thematically, story-wise, I would say everything with Boba Fett is extremely weak. I don't think anybody watching this show cared whether or not he completed his goal by the end of like taking over the city, because like he's supposed to be a good guy. He isn't a good guy. He's a mob boss. He does want tithings from people, or maybe he doesn't want tithings from people. He wants to make this city a safer, better place, but he's okay with crime as long as it's not spice. It's just very unclear who Boba is. They say he softens. They go out of the way to say he softens as he get older. But you know, what does that even mean? Is he getting like nicer? But as long as they're throwing rancors in front of me, I guess I'm having a good time.
I am horribly disappointed that Fennec Shand killed everyone in that tent and did not bring the leader of the Pikes to Boba to have his way with. To like maybe even feed to his rancor. Wouldn't that have been fucking like sweet justice? Or like...
Yeah, and then maybe the camera like pans over and there's like a Tusken Raider like headpiece or helmet, or maybe like a Tusken Raider kid or something like that playing around, just to kind of bring it full circle. But we never really have a moment like that.
No. At no point did I think that the Tuskens were actually killed by the motorcycle gang or whatever, the desert. It just kind of like Fennec Shand showed up, killed everybody, and that was it. I'm like, well, that's disappointing. Like that's. Yeah. I wish there was more to that. It's done, but I wish there was more to it.
Yeah. Also, I didn't know. I thought the motorcycle gang did it. I never assumed it was the Pikes, right? But when the Pikes revealed that they did it, I didn't care. Like I was like, I don't care who killed the Tuskens necessarily. Like, and and the way that they alluded to it, Cad Bane was just like, oh. He doesn't know. Like I expected like Tamara Morrison to like fucking go into like a rage and go animalistic, and he only really does that when he's just trying to like get out of that one kind of blown up bar. Like, and that's more of like he's really amped up because he's trying to save his own life, not really because he's trying to get revenge, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he did there at the end to Cad Bane. I guess he channeled that with the stick to.
Yeah, but Cad Bane was just like a hired hand. It's not even really revenge.
But it was. Watch the Clone Wars, and it is revenge.
Well, it's revenge towards Cad Bane, but not for his adoptive family.
You'll learn a lot more about it. Cad Bane, again, one of my favorite characters. I think. So I'm glad. Hopefully he's not dead. He doesn't need to be in everything, but used sparingly. I think he's a very, very vicious presence. I recommend him in Clone Wars. I think the last thing I have is I'm really, really concerned. I didn't think about this. Was Max Rebo in that bar when it blew up? Where's my Max Rebo?
Oh my god! Maybe he's got little jetpacks.
Yeah.
Like, and he just took off.
God, I hope he had a day off. He just had a day off, and he didn't go to that gig, because if he was at that gig, it blew up, I'm going to be really disappointed. In the show, that would be my only complaint, is if they killed Max Rebo.
Well, maybe it was like Max Bebo or something. Maybe it was just a similar looking robot.
I think overall, I mean, it's an easy recommend to watch if you're a Star Wars fan. It's not a hard watch. It's really fun. I think there's highlights. There's some low points in this, but overall it's highlights, right? Like I think Star Wars is good. The quality of the show, they make a great looking show, a great sounding show, always solid throughout. So easily recommend it.
Yeah, weirdly enough, just go watch the last 3 episodes and just pretend you're watching more Mandalorian, because even the very last episode, there's so much Mando and Baby Yoda in it, you would just assume that it's Mandalorian. So I'm actually would be really curious, if you could find a person that just didn't want to watch the Book of Boba Fett, right, and just have them watch the last 3 episodes and just tell them like, oh no, this is just more Mandalorian. Like, oh okay, that's kind of weird, but
it's Mando 2.5. It's what we're getting while we wait. That's what we think on that. Next week are you caught up on Peacemaker?
Yes, all caught up.
Okay. Well, next week's the last episode, so maybe we'll get a Peacemaker coverage
next week. Yeah, we'll do a Peacemaker recap the next week.
Yeah. So, that's it for the show, Mike. It's time to go start making snacks for the Super Bowl. So if people know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you at?
They can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where can they find you?
Find me on Instagram, Valdan87, or Twitter, Valdan, Valdan. If people want to know more about the show, what we're doing, where can they find us at?
They can find us at superheroslate.com. That's the best place to find all the avenues we host our show and to get our awesome show notes. So we talked about a lot of cool stuff in today's show notes. So if you want to see those trailers, that Warner Brothers teaser clip, all of this stuff is in our show notes. It's great. If you want to subscribe, if you're not already, we're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love to listen to fine podcasts like our own. You can like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. Please reach out. We love hearing from you. If you want to be a super fan, send us your Super Bowl ingredients or recipes. Not ingredients. Recipes have ingredients, though, because I'll even look back at them a year later, multiple years later, when I want to make stuff for next year's Super Bowl. And of course, stay tuned. There might possibly be a part 2 for today, but don't be surprised if you don't see one if we're not too engaged by what was revealed at the Super Bowl this year. But we love our super fans, so if you want to be the super fan of this show, like Jim, who I'm going to be making his chili cheese dip today, just all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy. Stay healthy out there, everybody, and we will be back next week, like Chris said, with that Peacemaker recap.
That's right. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.